Stop surviving and start building. Why healing is your most dangerous business strategy. I want to tell you about someone who is rewriting the rules on what it means to be resilient, whole, and powerful in a world that profits from your exhaustion. Their name is Courtney Williams, and they are living proof that you can be in recovery and in college at the same time, that you can be healing from addiction while working a full time job, that you can be building a future while tending to wounds most people would tell you to hide. Courtney is not waiting to be healed before they start living. They are hustling while they heal. And in doing so, they are dismantling one of the most dangerous myths we've ever been sold, the myth that you have to choose between your pain and your power. Let me tell you why that myth is killing us. We live in a world that treats healing like a luxury, like something you get to do after you've made it, after you've climbed the ladder, after you've proven you're strong enough to survive without it. Rest is a reward for productivity. Softness is something you earn once you've bled enough to deserve it. And for Black women, the message is even more brutal. You're expected to carry everyone, to lead without complaint, to nurture the world while your own spirit runs dry. And you're supposed to do it with a smile that says, I'm fine, even when you're falling apart. But here's what Courtney taught me, and it's a truth that should shake every assumption you've ever had about success. Healing is not a detour from your goals, it is the strategy. Let that sink in for a moment. Healing is not something you do when you finally have time. It's not a side project. It's not a sign that you're broken or behind. Healing, rest, and softness are not obstacles to building the life you want. They are the foundation. And for Black women who have been conditioned to believe that resilience means never breaking, never resting, never asking for help, this idea is revolutionary. Courtney's story is the embodiment of this revolution. They have been clean and sober. They stopped making excuses to stay stuck. They chose to keep moving forward even while they were healing. And that meant going to college, working a full time job, and pushing toward the life they wanted, all while doing the deep, difficult, soul shaking work of recovery. Courtney didn't wait until they were healed to start building. They built while they healed. They hustled while they recovered. And in doing so, they proved that growth and healing are not opposing forces, they are partners. Now, let's talk about what this means in the real world, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Black women are the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in this country. That is not just a statistic, that is a movement, that is a declaration, that is Black women saying, if the systems won't support us, we will build our own. But here's what we don't talk about enough. Many of these women are building businesses while carrying trauma. They are leading teams while managing grief. They are raising children, caring for aging parents, holding down households, and showing up in boardrooms, all while their own emotional and mental health is hanging by a thread. And the world calls that strength. But I'm here to tell you that we need to redefine what strength means. Because if strength is about how much you can carry, then we're glorifying suffering. We're celebrating exhaustion. We're rewarding women for breaking themselves in half just to prove they're worthy. What if strength isn't about how much you can carry? What if strength is about knowing when to put something down? What if the real power is not in surviving, but in choosing to heal, to rest, to protect your peace, even when the world tells you to keep going? Let me tell you about Taiwania James. Taiwana is a Black woman who transformed her lived experience into leadership, purpose, and entrepreneurial power. Her story is one of unseen labor, caregiving burdens, and adversity that could have easily crushed her spirit. She carried the weight of trauma, financial instability, and the pressure to be everything to everyone. But instead of letting that experience define her as broken, she chose to honor her story. She built a healthy relationship with money, not by pretending her pain didn't exist, but by using it as a guide. She used community rooted purpose as her compass, and she turned pain into power. But here's the key: Tawana didn't do it alone. She didn't pull herself up by her bootstraps and pretend she didn't need help. She leaned into community. She asked for support. She built ecosystems of care around her. And that's what allowed her to not just survive, but to thrive. This is the second truth I want you to hear today. And it flies in the face of everything we've been taught about independence. You do not have to choose between healing and hustling. Sustainable success comes from building a life and career that supports your well being, not just your output. Think about that for a moment. We've been sold a lie that says if you want to be successful, you have to sacrifice your health, your relationships, your joy, your peace. We've been told that burnout is the price of ambition, that exhaustion is a badge of honor, that if you're not tired, you're not trying hard enough. But Courtney's journey and the stories of women like Tawana James tell us something different. They tell us that the most sustainable success is built on a foundation of self care, community support, and emotional honesty. They tell us that asking for help is not a weakness, it's a strategy. They tell us that rest is not laziness, it's resistance. And this is not just feel good talk, this is backed by reality. Black women entrepreneurs thrive when they have mentors, peer networks, community advisors, and trusted friends. They thrive when they build ecosystems of mutual support. They thrive when they treat asking for help as a strength, not a flaw. Because here's the thing, when you're trying to build something meaningful, something lasting, something that will outlive the hustle, you can't do it on fumes. You can't do it while running on empty. You can't do it while pretending you don't need rest or care or softness. And this brings me to the third truth, and it's one that I need you to hear with your whole heart. Your past does not disqualify your future. Pain, recovery, and rebuilding can become the foundation for purpose and leadership. Let me say that again because I know some of you need to hear it. Your past does not disqualify your future. Courtney has lived this truth. They have walked through the fire of addiction, recovery, and rebuilding. And instead of letting that experience define them as broken, they have used it as fuel. They have used it as proof that transformation is possible. They have used it as a foundation for purpose. And they are not alone. Black women across this country are doing the same thing. They are taking their pain and turning it into power. They are taking their trauma and turning it into testimony. They are taking their struggles and turning them into strategies for helping others. But let's be clear, this is not about glorifying pain. This is not about saying that suffering is necessary for success. This is about recognizing that pain is part of the human experience. And that when we choose to heal from it, when we choose to learn from it, when we choose to use it as a catalyst for growth, we become unstoppable. Now, I want to talk about what this looks like in practice because it's one thing to say that healing is part of the strategy. It's another thing to actually live it. Courtney is in college. Courtney is working a full time job. Courtney is hustling, but Courtney is also healing. And that means they are doing the work of recovery, the work of therapy, the work of self reflection, the work of building a life that supports their well being, all while building a future. And that's hard. It's hard to go to class when you're dealing with trauma. It's hard to show up to work when you're in the middle of healing. It's hard to keep pushing forward when every part of you wants to shut down. But Courtney is doing it. And in doing so, they are redefining what it means to be resilient. Because resilience is not about never breaking, resilience is about breaking and then choosing to put yourself back together. Resilience is not about being strong all the time. Resilience is about being honest about when you're not strong and asking for help. Resilience is not about surviving at all costs. Resilience is about thriving even in the midst of struggle. And this is the model that Black women are building right now. They are building businesses that honor their humanity. They are building careers that support their mental health. They are building lives that allow them to be soft, to be vulnerable, to be whole, and they are doing it together. Because community is not just a nice to have, community is essential. Studies show that entrepreneurs with strong support networks are more likely to succeed. They are more likely to sustain their businesses over time. They are more likely to experience well being and satisfaction in their work. And for Black women who often face systemic barriers, isolation, and the pressure to prove themselves in spaces that were not designed for them, community is even more critical. So here's what I want you to take away from this. First, your past does not disqualify your future. Whatever you have been through, whatever you are going through, it does not define your worth or your potential. It can become the foundation for your purpose. Second, you do not have to choose between healing and hustling. Sustainable success comes from building a life and career that supports your well being, not just your output. Rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. And third, community, support, and self belief are assets. You do not have to do this alone. In fact, you shouldn't. The strongest leaders are the ones who know how to ask for help. But I don't want to leave you with just takeaways. I want to leave you with a challenge. What would change in your life if you stopped asking, how do I survive this? And started asking, how do I heal, grow, and build from this? What would change if you gave yourself permission to rest, to be soft, to ask for help, to build a life that honors your humanity, not just your productivity? What would change if you believed that your pain could become your power, that your recovery could become your roadmap, that your healing could become your strategy? Because here's the truth: the world doesn't need more women who know how to survive. The world needs women who know how to heal, who know how to rest, who know how to build from a place of wholeness instead of woundedness. Courtney Williams is living proof that this is possible. And so are the countless Black women who are building businesses, leading communities, and creating legacies, all while choosing to heal, to rest, to be soft. This is the soft girl era. This is the sacred pause. This is the quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. And it's not a trend, it's a revolution. So I'm not just inviting you to think about this, I'm challenging you to act on it. I'm challenging you to release the cape. I'm challenging you to redefine strength. I'm challenging you to embrace softness, to protect your peace, to heal in real time, and to turn your survival into something sacred because you deserve it. And the world is waiting for the version of you that is whole, healed, and free. So stop surviving, start building, and let your healing be the most dangerous, disruptive, powerful strategy you've ever used.